Donald Trump wants us talking about everything except the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. He is desperate for a distraction, for the MAGA media to say, look over there, or for his Republican stooges in Congress to come up with some new culture war. But the opposite is happening. MAGA podcasters are talking about this issue. Marjorie Taylor Greene has practically gone to war with Donald Trump, and even Melania is bringing more attention to the Epstein scandal with her latest move, blowing it all up. We're going to get into that, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we can get into how Melania has blown up Donald Trump's Epstein scandal with her latest move, I want to start with a breakdown of the intimidation coming out of the White House, which just proves how panicked they are. And we got that from Senator Chris Murphy right here.
So if you didn't know it already, now we definitely know it. The fix is in on the Epstein files. Today, the Trump White House is bullying Republicans in the House of Representatives, trying to make sure that they don't sign on to this resolution that would compel the disclosure of the files. You saw over the course of August how they are treating Ghislaine Maxwell in a way that suggests they are trying to get her to change her story or to tell lies about what really happened. Listen, the story is familiar. Donald Trump exists to protect him and his wealthy friends from their corruption and their illegality. And that is clearly what's going on here with the cover-up of what happened with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. The fact that the Trump administration is doing so much work today, literally doing hand-to-hand combat in the House of Representatives, trying to stop Republican members of the House from signing on to this resolution, it tells you that there's something we need to know, something we need to find out, and now.
When Donald Trump is bullying Marjorie Taylor Greene into submission, when he is attempting to silence the loudest voice in MAGA who he is constantly propping up, you know we've hit an all-time low. But Donald Trump can't silence Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, or Ro Khanna. These individuals on a bipartisan basis are speaking out. Donald Trump also can't spin this lie. How are you supposed to call it a hoax when the survivors were speaking out in front of the Capitol? You just can't. It doesn't land, and no one believes Donald Trump, especially after yesterday, which is the context that we need before we get into Melania.
Mr. Speaker, I'm just returning from hearing the survivors tell their stories, and I was so deeply moved. This is not a political issue. This is an issue of 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds who told the stories of how they were solicited by Jeffrey Epstein and raped and assaulted. And then they went to the police, and the police didn't do anything because Jeffrey Epstein knew rich people, because he knew presidents, because he knew donors. This is not a Republican issue. This is not a Democratic issue. Marjorie Taylor Greene was there speaking out for the survivors. Nancy Mace was in tears because she's a survivor when she heard their stories. Lauren Boebert has said we need to speak up for the survivors. This is an issue that could actually bring this country together to say that a nation in which rich and powerful men can rape young girls without consequence is a nation that has lost its moral and spiritual soul. We can fight about a lot of things. We shouldn't fight about this. We need 2 more Republicans to sign the discharge petition. I have a pretty simple rule. Most people don't understand all the jargon of Congress, but the survivors very clearly said they want the Massie-Khanna bill. They want it for closure. They want it for the release of the files. You know what the irony here is? President Trump could actually be the person who does good in this. He can still change his mind. Speaker Johnson is a true Christian. I know him. I know his family. He's a good Christian man. He can be for bringing justice. I really don't understand why we're fighting over this. Why don't we do something good for this country? Why don't we stand with these survivors and show this nation we're still capable of coming together when it matters for truth and justice? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So Donald Trump wants to distract from the fact that he cannot escape his Epstein scandal, that survivors are speaking out, that Republicans are coming down on him. And so he's looking for a new distraction, something to maybe give the MAGA media to talk about, maybe a little puff piece. And here steps Melania with her new AI initiative, which Melania Trump doesn't know anything about AI, but it went as badly as you could expect, especially with the news coming out about her AI dinner. But it first starts with what she said at the White House, sounding insane, and then we'll get into how it's blown up the Epstein scandal.
We are living in a moment of wonder, and it is our responsibility to prepare children in America. Cars now steer themselves through our cities. Robots hold steady hands in the operating room. And drones are redefining the future of war. Innovations of first-generation humanoids, factory automation, and autonomous vehicles have surged from private sector investment.
Trump snubs old pal Musk by refusing to invite him to White House Tech Summit. Alongside Melania's new initiative, Donald Trump is set to host an artificial intelligence summit at the White House with 24 of the world's top tech CEOs, with one notable exception. Practically every big name in tech has been invited to the inaugural event at the newly renovated Rose Garden, which includes an event on AI hosted by Melania Trump and a dinner hosted by the First Lady as well. The invite list obtained by The Hill includes lots of tech CEOs, but of course no Elon. Notably absent from the list attending Melania's big dinner is Elon Musk, who has been persona non grata at the White House for months since the epic meltdown over Trump's big beautiful bill, which Musk included accusing the president of being in the Epstein files. And recently, Donald Trump has described his estranged former first buddy Elon Musk as someone with 80% super genius and 20% problems. So Melania is holding her big AI dinner, which, again, she knows nothing about, but this is just a little fluff for the White House to pretend that something is actually happening of substance over there. That's not the case. But who's not invited? Elon Musk, reminding us once again that Donald Trump is feuding with his former buddy, his closest advisor, his biggest campaign donor, because of the Epstein files. So Melania's little puff piece has really only brought attention to the fact that Donald Trump and Elon's feud continues. Why? Because of Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump cannot escape the story, and Donald Trump will not escape the story as hard as he might try. And it's not just that the conspiracies around Epstein are the only ones that are causing problems for the White House right now. Of course, RFK Jr. spoke in front of the Senate today, in which his conspiracies were called out, specifically by Elizabeth Warren, who ripped into RFK right here.
So you're saying that is now the official rule of HHS. Anybody is eligible to get a booster by just walking into the pharmacy.
It's not recommended for healthy people.
No. If you don't recommend, then the consequence of that in many states is that you can't walk into a pharmacy and get one. It means insurance companies don't have to cover the $200 or so cost. As Senator Dr. Cassidy said, you are effectively denying people vaccines.
We're not going to recommend a product for which there's no clinical data for that indication. Is that what I should be doing?
What you should be doing is honoring your promise that you made when you were looking to get confirmed in this job.
You're going like this.
And that is, you promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. You just changed the classification of the COVID vaccine.
I'm not taking them away from people, Senator.
It takes it away if you can't get it from your pharmacist.
Well, most Americans are going to be able to get it from their pharmacy for free. Most Americans will be able to get it from their pharmacy for free.
The question is, everyone who wants it, that was your promise.
No, I didn't. I never promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
When you said...
And I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
Did you hold up a big sign saying that you were lying when you said that? Because you are the one who said you would not take them away. Now, Senator...
I'm not taking them away from anybody.
Secretary...
You want me to indicate a product for which there is no clinical data?
Senator,
is that what you want?
Secretary Kennedy, you said you wouldn't, and now you did.
I'm not taking them away. Everybody can get access to them.
No, they can't walk into a pharmacy the way they could last month and get access.
It depends on the state. It depends on the states.
A year ago,
but they can still get it. Everybody can get it. Everybody can get it, Senator.
So look, let's move on. You clearly are taking away vaccines. I've seen the list for what's coming up next, and that is the agenda for the next CDC vaccine panel. And first up is ratifying your COVID actions. Second is hepatitis B is on the agenda. So should Americans expect you to take away hepatitis vaccine access as well, even though you promised not to?
As I said, I'm not taking vaccines away from anybody.
Okay, same answer, right? You're just going to deny that when people can't get access, that you're not taking it away. Then let me ask you, is that the same game you're going to play with me?
You want me to recommend every product in the world So that
I
without
want you
any
to
clinical trial
follow
data.
through on your promises.
Yeah, my promise was to give.
A month ago, we could get COVID vaccines by just walking
You can
into a
still get
pharmacy.
COVID vaccines,
You
Senator.
are taking that away.
No, you are
So
still.
let
You
me
can
ask
still
you
get the
one more
COVID vaccines,
question,
and
Secretary
Medicare will still
Kennedy.
pay for them, and Medicaid will still
Tell the
pay for
head
them.
of the CDC that if she refused to sign off on your changes to the childhood vaccine schedule, that she had to resign.
No, I told her that she had to resign because I asked her, "Are you a trustworthy person?" And she said no. So
What?
if you had an employee who told you they weren't trustworthy, would you ask them to resign, Senator?
So I'm sorry, but this is not what she has said publicly. She has
Well,
said
I'm
she
not
was
surprised
told to
about that.
reapprove. So you're saying she's lying?
Yes. Every conversation I had with her, there
And
were
let me get this
witnesses.
straight. This is the same person that less than a month earlier, you stood next to her and described her as unimpeachable. And you had full confidence in her, and that you had full confidence in her scientific credentials. And in a month, she became a liar? Is
Yeah,
that what
you
you're
should
saying?
ask her what changed. And by the way, a month ago, you were voting against her. Oh, because you thought she was either incompetent, ineligible, or unsuited to the task.
I
Well,
voted
now I
against her
agree
because
with
I
you.
was afraid she was going to bend the knee to you and Donald Trump. And it looks like she didn't bend the knee, so you fired her. Look.
RFK Jr.'s Make America Healthy Again brand is especially sinister with the way it preys upon anyone who thinks that he is an honest broker, which of course he's not. RFK Jr. has had so much success, at least for himself, in this administration because he is much like everyone else, a grifter. RFK Jr. is after the dollars of moms who are worried about their kids and people who just want to be healthier. He has pointed out a real problem that there is an epidemic of just real sickness in America caused by pharmaceutical companies that want to prey on you, food company monopolies that make sure you are not actually getting real substance in your diet, and instead having the biggest companies in the country and in the world making as much money off you as possible. Yeah, that's a real problem. And the fact that we have a sick care system in America rather than a health care system contributes to that as well. But the answer is not ivermectin. It's not horse pills, and it's not RFK Jr. That is what's so sinister about what he's doing, is because people who need real help and are looking for real answers will be snared into his conspiracy web and ultimately hurt, not just them, but their children. And that is why it is so important, so dire that we call out RFK Jr., and we're going to be doing so on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.